Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant John Solider. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
Well, it is my privilege to interview an old friend, not old in age, old in how many years we know each other, because we met, we were what, like in kindergarten when we met, I think, Lori?
Let's say that, yeah.
Something like that. And she now lives in Utopia, by the way, and she really does. I am not exaggerating. Look on a map near Barrie, Ontario, is a small town called Utopia. And she and my good friend Gino, her wonderful husband, live in Utopia. So how are things in Utopia today? Do you have any snow?
We lost all our snow and I'm looking outside and it's all snow covered and I'm surrounded by evergreen trees that are all snow covered. It's beautiful.
Wow, I bet.
Yeah.
So Lori, I know your story, but our listeners don't. When did you get in this industry?
I was doing the math on that, knowing I was talking to you today. It was in 1994. Wow. 1994, which is, what's that, 27 years? I started, I answered an ad for then a direct sales company, which was Undercover Wear. And that was lingerie doing home parties, and was there for a couple of years. And I knew nothing about the industry. I just literally answered an ad. It was work from home, make your own money. You know, actually we did newspaper ads back then. And I was honestly looking just to make a few $100s. I didn't know the potential of the business. So that was my very first one. And like just even a bit of my story, I then answered an ad when I was with my first husband for a network marketing company. And I went to this meeting. Yes, we had meetings back then too. I went to this meeting and I saw normal people just like me that were, had a successful business. And I was like going out every night, slugging lingerie, setting it up, bringing it home, washing it, doing all that. And I'm like, this seems like a better way. And that was my first exposure to network marketing, which was 1996. And then I joined a company, I will tell the listeners, with you. And I was with that company for 22 years. Started, again, I didn't know the power of network marketing. I was a single mom. I was a school bus driver. I just had great coaches and a desire to change, and just, a desire to change. And that was it. And I went on in that company. I was very humbled in that company. I went on, I ended up in the $1 Million Club, which was amazing. And then I retired, John. A couple of years ago, we just decided to go on I actually sold my business, which for those people looking at network marketing, that solidifies that it's an actual business. Somebody paid for my business. And we went on and we were just going to invest in properties and do that kind of thing. And then I was going through some losses at the time. My sister, which we did lose, and Gino's sister, which we did lose, both too young. And it was that sort of aha that it's like, I said to you earlier, you're either green and growing or brown and dying. And I felt like I was brown and dying. And I really missed the industry. I missed the community of everything. And then bam, COVID hits and the pandemic hits. And I had to learn a whole new way because I had never built anything on social media. So that's kind of a little bit about my story.
Wow. Thank God for technology, right?
I know, but I'm still learning and work in progress. But
you and me
I'm
both.
doing okay.
Thank God we got kids and grandkids that know technology. So, Lori, I know you've just recently read the book that your old friend Foster Owusu and I wrote called "Leave Nothing to Chance," and I think there's a chapter or two in there that got you excited.
Yeah, many chapters, but I wrote down a couple actually, because my life has changed. what I do now has changed. And this just really struck with me. So chapter 3, principle 3, and it was on instill the right mindset. And even though when I started, I remember, listening to cassettes back there and really like, putting stuff into your mind. But recently, I've actually invested in myself and really been taking some mindset courses, even with Bob Proctor, and it's honestly transformed my life, because mindset is so important. I mean, there's so much stuff out there right now, so many books, so many podcasts, so many trainings, some are free, some we pay for. We all have all this knowing, but why aren't we doing it? And for myself, I was at a plateau for a year. I was at a plateau, and I just thought, I just dug into the mind, because even though it sounds kind of woo-woo to some people, it works. And I remember, I wrote this down because I remember growing up, John, I had, do you remember the old filing cabinets?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I had a picture of a brain, and it was a half a brain here and half a brain here, and the one side was the kids, and I just drilled it in with them. And one side was the thinker and one was the prover. And so the thinker thinks and the prover proves. So be careful what the thinker thinks, because the prover has to prove what the thinker thinks. And that stuck with me. And so then when I started getting back into mindset, it's like, it really is like, we can learn all we want, but unless we actually because energy is science, everything is energy. And so depending on what we're throwing out to the world and the vibes that we're throwing out. And so that chapter, I just think is so, so sometimes not regarded as important, but it is, it really is, because it's what you think about, and then what you feel, and then what you feel is the actions that take place. And though that then creates the results. So if you're thinking things like, money doesn't grow on trees, all those things that we grew up with, or this isn't working for me. Why? And so when we say those things to ourselves, we're getting more of it. So I just think mindset is just probably number one for me. Yeah. And so I'm glad you put that in there.
What was the other chapter?
It was on balance, and it was number 4, the exact one. It was called Create Balance. It's the key to staying on track. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I've learned from mistakes. A lot of times you can get into the business, especially right now with technology. We're on the phone all the time. You're on Messenger, you're on Zooms, and so I have learned the hard way where sometimes your business was taking over everything. And when that happens, you burn out. When that happens, you're not happy. When that happens, the people around you aren't happy. Your relationships aren't happy. So a few mentors that I'm following, I just did what they started to do. And I'm going to teach that, especially moving towards the new year, is really block times. And just block your calendar. And the things that come first are your own stuff, your faith, your personal stuff, your exercise, your meditation, your journaling, your husband's birthday, your events, and then put in your business, but make sure that, your daily methods of operation are in there and nothing else, in that hour or that 20 minutes. I guess the answer to that is just balance and time block, but don't let your business be your life. Because in my opinion, anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about that. Because I probably lost relationships quicker in my past, not now, but in my past. Yeah.
Great. So let me ask you this. I know self-development is very important to you now. I know it's always has been, for that matter.
Yeah.
So somebody shows up today at your door and says, "Hey, Lori, Gino, we're going to take you guys to a deserted island. Plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of sustenance, but you're limited on what you can bring. You can only bring 3 books with you." What would those 3 books be?
We were talking about this in a training the other day. I wouldn't have said this years ago, but now the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even more so now, with everything that's happened in this world, I think it's really bringing faith even closer to people. So that was one. The one thing I do every day that I would want to bring if I was on a deserted island is a journal. Hopefully we have a pen on that island.
Yeah.
But I do believe in like just journaling, a gratitude journal, because you have to find, for me personally, and I think it's just proven, just for good health, that the more you can find to be grateful for, even if you're on a deserted island, it actually sounds fun right now, but if you were there forever, let's be honest, a gratitude journal and a pen. And the third, I would think a mindset book. Even though it's old, I think it came out in the early 2000s, The Secret. That really impacted me a lot, for learning how to overcome things, and get your mind in the right place. That if you really were on a desert island, I think your mind would have to be in the right place. So, yeah.
It's funny that you say that about the journal, because I was telling my prior podcast interview today was Dan Catto. Dan's another legend in the industry, been in it 30 plus years. And I was telling Dan a story about the only time I ever really had a time to spend with Jim Rohn. And it was down here in Dallas about 30 years ago now. And Jim and myself and the owner of the company I was doing some work for at that time, Charlie Regis, who's since has passed away, and Ron Reynolds, who had been the co-writer of the Seasons of Life with Jim. We went to lunch, and really nice place. And Jim, lunch was over, and Jim pulled out a cigar, lit it up, and he looked at me, and he looked at the two other guys. He said, "It's not too late for you, young man." And I knew exactly what he meant, because we had sat around and we had talked and we had a lovely lunch, and we talked about a million different things, from politics to religion to sports to you name it. And I'm not exaggerating, Lori. I'm not a fast runner, but you would have thought I was Carl Lewis or Ben Johnson or Usain Bolt, because I hightailed it to my car and I got my journal and I brought it back. And I knew exactly what Jim was saying. And Jim made a great point. He said, it may not be anything that I say or these two guys say or you say. He says, the waiter may say something that's so significant that you go, wait a minute, let me capture that. So it's great that you would bring a journal with you and continue with your thoughts, which makes it the greatest book of all. Okay, besides the Bible, the greatest book of all for any of us is the book that we write about our lives. You know what I mean? Our constantly evolving lives. So let me ask you this. What was the first book that really got your attention, that aha moment as far as self-development? Do you remember what it was?
I absolutely do. And I'm actually doing a training on it before the new year. Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
And for me, I mean, success leaves clues. And when he interviewed 500 of the top people, like many, many, many years ago, and when you're reading this book, this is a newer version. I have the smaller one too, actually here. Yeah. And it's like, the whole thing in the book was read it and you'll find the secret. So sometimes we're looking for, a strategy, the right words, the right script, the right thing to do. And it's basically a burning desire and know what you want. And funny enough is like, I have these actually circled here because we're coming up to the new year. And, in the book, it talks about, 6 ways, and it's just knowing what you want, being specific. What are you going to give back? And like I said, if success leaves clues, and 500 of the top men and women, at that time, mostly men, thankfully that's changed, did and thought the same way, it has to make sense. So that was my first, and I still use it. In fact, I'm going to do a Facebook Live on this book in the upcoming. Yeah.
It's when you go back in the archives, not just you, Lori, but anybody else goes back in the archives on our show, Leaving Nothing to Chance. There was an interview I did, I want to say it was maybe in June or July, but you can find it, with Ben Gay III. And Ben Gay III was at the time 27 years old. He was the president of a huge network marketing company at that time, and the name escapes me, so I'm having a senior moment. I forget the names of some of these companies, but anyway, Ben's a legend in the industry, legend in the direct selling industry. He's written a lot of books, including The Closers. But I asked Ben an interesting question, and feel free to use this with your team when you do this training. For 2 years, he was mentored by Dr. Hill. his company actually hired Dr. Hill as his mentor. Could you imagine that? What a nice company, right? They hired Napoleon Hill as your mentor. And Dr. Hill was probably about 80 years old at the time. And I said, if there were three things only that Hill taught you, what would they be? He said, integrity, number one, in all things. When the camera's rolling, when the camera's not rolling.
Yeah.
Focus at all times, and taking action. I said, wow. And I'll tell you how strongly I felt, Laura. You can't see my computer, but I still have little yellow sticky notes, and it's sitting right here on my computer: integrity, focus, and action. And
I just wrote it.
Yeah, I quote that. So feel free to pass that along to your folks there. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk a little bit about the business itself. And I know you've been doing this a long time, very successfully, been successful in every company you've been in, and you're having tremendous success in the company you're in today. What's the best way to get a new person started so that they see results, so they see profit, and they get that, that belief that, hey, this thing really could work for me. And if they're married, of course, for me and Bob, or for me and Sue, that this thing really can work. What's your best ways to do that?
I'm glad you asked, because I wrote, in case he does, tips. We were also talking about that on a training recently. What can we do? What can we do different? I'm of the firm belief is because people start in different ways, but I think if they can start fast, getting a return on income right away. One thing important that come out on a recent training is that be truthful with people. Don't don't overinflate. This doesn't happen overnight. It does for a select few. If you were to go somewhere else tomorrow, you could probably do it again tomorrow. But for the masses, be truthful that this is a business, that this is going to take, some time. You're going to get some haters, especially on Facebook or TikTok, and just give them the proper expectation. But if you can get, their return on investment fast, and most companies right now, I know ours does, and I'm assuming most companies do, especially with technology now. Most companies have some form of a system, and they have Facebook groups, and there's step 1, step 2, step 3, and it really, literally, now the world has changed, John. It's really, I had to pivot. I'm still pivoting. I'm still learning, but now it's really about marketing. Now it's all about curiosity marketing. Now it's about attracting people to you, branding yourself, and being that, so if you were to go today to another company, they're going to follow John, not the company, right? So it's really, following a system, which is really all about tools and making sure that, and it gives you an indication too. I know some of my top people, they were the ones that went in and clicked done, step 1 done, step 2 done, whereas some others won't. And so that also gives you, as their leader, an indication of sort of who's ready, who's coachable. But I guess the bottom line is that they've got to get out of the gate going, through Facebook, through TikTok, and it's just like the old ways of getting a list going, but now it's on social media. And it really is right now, everything right now is all about attraction marketing, attracting people to you and teaching them not to be spammy pammy on there, but providing value, providing entertainment, showing who you are. I know when I watch you, I know that you work out. I know that you're diving in cold water. I get the shivers watching you, but it's attracting people to you, and you're building your own brand. So
you're absolutely right, because what I find, same thing with you, when I look at your social media, I see you walking your dog in the woods, and I think, wow, I'm living now in a place where it doesn't really snow, and when it does snow here, it's a big problem. By the way, we did have that last year in Dallas, but I look and I'm like, wow, it gives me this nice warm feeling about days that I've spent living in Canada, walking in the woods, with my kids when they were younger, and it lets somebody see, hey, to be successful in network marketing, this person's no different than I am. They put their pants on the same way. They get up the same way. And people see your life as opposed to this almost fake life that, oh, if you're really successful, you're different. No, you're not. You're just as screwed up as the rest of us. So I love what you're doing with social media. Let me segue a little bit on that question. how do you get somebody, not necessarily to profit, okay, because profit in different companies is different numbers, obviously, but how do you get them so that they get that first, you know, that first thing where they start to beat their chest and they say, I can do what Lori's doing? How do you get them that first 48 hours or 72 hours or week or whatever in the business that they go, hey, she told me to do this, and wow, I did this with Sally, and Sally really joined, or Sally really became a customer. How do you do that?
So let me preface one thing before I answer that, which I forgot to say, is finding out their why, right? I think is really important when somebody starts, finding out their why, because somebody's why might honestly be $200 a month. Somebody's why might be leave their job, right? And so that's very different. But right away, the power of groups now, like chat groups, whether you have it in WhatsApp, whether you have it in for us, we use Messenger, but getting them that first customer, helping them get that first customer, what to say, to your sometimes friends or family. Sometimes people don't want to talk to friends and family, so it's on social media, but getting them that first paycheck to say, I can do it. And then what I've seen, I think even now more through the power of social media, is the recognition is so powerful, John. Like even when somebody gets their very first customer, it's like, it's right in our group. Let's everybody congratulate Susie Q. She just got her very first customer. It's like, way to go, way to go. And that goes so far, John, because it's like, recognition is powerful. Recognition people don't get enough of. And so, and all of a sudden they get that first check, especially if they picked up some bonuses, which most companies have now, and all of a sudden they've got a $200 or $300 or $500 check. It's like, I can do this, and it's really just building that belief in them. I can do this. I mean, I never forget where I came from. I never forget where I came from. And I didn't finish high school. I had no knowledge of this. And when somebody believed in me, her name is Sharon Lewis. You may have met her. When somebody believed in me more than I did myself, it changed the trajectory of my life. And so that's a very big, strong passion for me, is helping people's inner and their belief in them, getting some money right away. And then, then they think, man, maybe I can do this.
Exactly. And then you start seeing that growth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the, somebody asked me a couple months ago, Dave, what do you really do for a living? And I said, well, I grow human beings. And they're like, what do you mean you grow human beings? I was like, you're a mad scientist? I go, no. I said, I help human beings to grow themselves.
Yeah.
By giving them the tools to do that. And it just happens to be around a company or a product, but it's that growth. And that's what you're really describing there, is that they all of a sudden say, hey, I could do what Lori's doing. Wow. I could do what John's doing. I could do what Bob's doing or Mary's doing. And, they start to grow as a human being, and they start to maybe read the books and get exposed to the next step. So let me ask you this, Lori. Times have changed. The last couple of years, I don't think we need to tell anybody listening what's happened the last couple of years. They're only too well aware of it, right? But how important have both tools and technology become for you in building your current business?
Huge. Well, actually, it's everything. Tools, for one thing, is you need to be able to duplicate what you do. So you've been with your company for what, 25, 26 years, that company, that product, from the, but if you were to stand up and talk about it and just rhyme everything off like that, what they do is they look at you and say, I could never do that. So whenever you're talking to somebody about the product, but most importantly, the business, using those tools, even though you can say it, send them the video, send them the PDF, send them, put them on a 3-way call with your upline, because they need to know that, okay, I can do that too. And so hopefully, I think most companies now, I think it was probably a struggle, but they've been forced, because of what's happened globally, they've been forced for everything to be online. And so they've produced the videos, they produced the calls, they produced the Zooms. I mean, here we are right now. You know, this is just, how else would we do it? I mean, I'm in Canada, you have a lot more freedom than we have. I don't see human beings basically, you know, other than going to the grocery store, and you know, we're pretty, so I don't see a lot of people. So without this, without these technology and the tools, I'd be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom really came along at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wish I had been an investor in there. I missed that one.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. That and Google Chat and some of these other things. But technology wise, right? You know, Zoom and all of these things, you're using technology really well to communicate. I mean, I noticed some of the things that you're doing online. Talk about that for a minute. Just like somebody says, okay, I joined XYZ multi-level, and I got 1,000 Facebook friends, and I got 500 Instagram followers, and I got whatever because I was an athlete, or I was an entertainer, or I wrote a book, or I whatever. I just know a lot of people. I'm just a very social animal. What's one of the best things they could do to start to get to those people without beating them over the head that you got to join my business?
So basically it's about branding yourself. If you're on Facebook and like TikTok and Reels and stuff, they're all the thing right now. I'm hiring my grandkids, by the way, to teach me this, because they are just like, if you're not on that, all the gurus say you're missing the boat. So I'll be learning in the next week. But what I've done up till now has still served me. So it's about, John, it's about being you. It's about being real. It's about being authentic. It's about having a daily method of operation, which in short form we call DMO. And you've got to be consistent. That's the number one thing. You've got to be consistent. Like I'll go on there probably 3 times a day. I try and do more lives. I'm comfortable with lives right now. The very first time, honestly, John, I thought I was going to be sick. Like I really did. You know, you're going to push the wrong button. You're not going to be. So that's the one thing I'm comfortable with now. But getting it in there, but it's not about your product. That can be about 20%, right? But it's about providing value. So if you're so here, I've got a big board in front of me here. And I have 3 pillars, and one's empowering women. That's a big thing for me. The second is health and wellness and prevention, because that's the category I'm in. And the other is family, motherhood, Nana, lifestyle. And from those 3, when I look at that, if I want to do a post or a live, I can look at one of those, and each one of them has, you know, arrows off. Like for instance, health and wellness. So I could go onto Google, right? Exercise tips, recipes, supplements, nutrition, knowledge, mental health. So I have all those spikes around that. And so I know that whatever one of those things, that's who I'm trying to attract to me, right? Mm-hmm. And so being consistent, not being all over the map, and not, the one thing I learned that I didn't know, and it was hard for me to do, is they call it an avatar, which is your dream customer or your dream business partner. And before we were like, oh, I'll just take anybody. I'm trying to advertise to everybody or market to everybody. And they said no. So all the top people that I've watched, they said, literally write out your avatar. You know, the age, women, man, both, married, dogs, that like literally write him or her or both out. And every time you're talking to that one person, because you want to attract your tribe, not, you know, little bits. And so lately I've been doing more of that. Even dogs, like my dogs are one beside me, one under me. I'm in dog groups, and a lot of my pictures are dogs. And, you know, so you attract dog lovers, you know, and then that conversation can come to your business, right? So it's here's one thing not to do, really, especially if you're just starting. And I've had people do it to me, and I'm sure you have, is they friend you, and it's not even a hello, it's just boom, here's my link. And I'm like, I don't even know you. Like you haven't even, you know. I'm totally open if somebody said, hey, and they do, and I respect this. They might call you up or message you and say, hey, Lori, you know what? I've been following your page. I love your style. You know, I don't know if you're open or not, but are you open to taking a look at what I do? Or are you open to taking a look at my product? I'm okay with that, right? Because they've actually said, they've said hello. They've said that they've actually looked at who I am, and they haven't just boom, sent the link off. And there's some companies that are actually teaching people to do that, and they're just losing all their followers and their friends. Yeah.
That's great. I love that about the avatar. I haven't heard that before, but I'm gonna put that one in my notes too, because this has been a day of learning for me, Lori. I have interviewed you today and I learned some stuff from you. I've interviewed Dan Cato today. I've learned some stuff from Dan, and this morning I did a call with Randy Gage. So between the three of you guys, I have lots of notes. And which you probably, I hate these backdrops because it's great, it advertises the show, but you can't ever show anything. It's like it's seeing a blank pad I'm holding up right now. Anyway, there's my notes for today. That's 3 pages of notes interviewing all of you great guys. Let me ask you this, Lori. Our industry, you've been in it a long time, like I have. And there's a lot of people that don't understand what we do. There's a lot of people jealous of what we do. They hear you get to work from home in Utopia. And I get to work from home here in where I am in Dallas, and you guys get to work from home and blah, blah, blah. And almost a little resentment sometimes because they don't understand what we do. So let's just take a person, let's a hypothetical person, neighbor of yours there in Utopia, doesn't know you. I know you guys are fairly new to the neighborhood, but they observe, they go, you know, Lori's home, working from home all the time. And they hear from another neighbor that, yeah, well, she's in one of those network marketing things and she makes money working from home. And maybe it's one of those people who had been down on our industry because they didn't know anything about it. They thought they did, but they had, you know, judgments like a lot of people did. And maybe it's the guy about my age, about 60. And maybe he's got a son about, let's say 25. And his son is a good kid, went to school, got good grades, did everything right. All of a sudden starts his business career, got his degree from wherever, and all of a sudden we know what happened, right? And he was last man on the totem pole. So wherever he went to work, they had to let him go. So he's been living on mom and dad's couch or spare bedroom that he doesn't really want to be at, but circumstances put him there. So dad and the son say, you know, let's go over, knock on the door. Maybe this Lori's a nice lady. Maybe she'll talk to us about this industry. So they do that. They knock on the door, you greet them, introduce yourself, they introduce themselves. And they say, look, we just want to pick your brain. Why should we get in the industry? And answer it this way, if you would. Why should the 25-year-old look? Why should the 60-year-old look?
I say right now, I'm not, this isn't how I'd answer, but I'm just saying this on here. I think right now in all of history, time is the best time for network marketing. All right. For obvious reasons of what's happening and people are leaving their jobs. So for me, how I do it is that I look at myself as being a solution provider. All right. So it's like you don't go and buy Tylenol because you want Tylenol. You want a fix for your headache, right? Or you want a fix for your fever. So the same thing. So for everybody, I am looking for their pain points and I can find the solution. So I would actually be sitting down with them, and you've just told me their pain points, you know, and I would be like, how did that make you feel? Like, you know, and I would ask questions and even dig a little bit deeper, because sometimes we just say, what would you want? And that might just be, in our industry, you know, people just come up with figures like $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $2,000 a month. And I think I've been, especially with my mindset work that I've been doing, is really getting deeper with those people and getting them to actually visualize what this can do for them. Because what this is all about is this is just falling in love with the product, taking the product, and, you know, sharing the product and teaching people to do the same thing. Right. But if you can paint a picture, I guess is what I'm looking at. If you can paint a picture for that son and that father that, you know, that they can actually, especially right now, that they can fill all those dreams and then really dig deep with them at how would that person feel? They've just had 4 years of university. They've just done that and they've got nothing. They're on the bottom of the totem pole. And if you can paint the picture of what's possible, for them, and you're providing that solution for them, they start to see it in a different way, because there is naysayers, there is haters. And I will be honest with you, John, especially since TikTok and Reels, they're coming out all over the place. They're coming out all over the place. That's why some of the gurus are saying, they're getting on. And the bottom line is, somebody more successful than you, or just successful period, does not have the time or energy or need to put somebody else down. They're the ones that you want to be around because they're picking people up. So I guess an answer to that is, again, finding their pain points, which they've told you about, telling them what the industry is. I mean, I would never get into the whole comp plan stuff unless they're a comp plan person. That's different, but these people don't know about it. It's really just sharing the products. And here's the thing, and letting them understand, like some people think it's that pyramid. I don't ever get into arguments about that with anybody, because, but just letting them know that our business is, the best part of this business, John, is in the other world, the corporate world, which I've been at too for a couple of years. The other world is, there is only one CEO, there is only one president, there is only one vice president, and it does go down to the world. Here, they pay people like you and me, and we make money. I don't make money just by recruiting somebody. Well, I mean, you might get a bonus, but that's gone tomorrow, right? We make money by building people up, by helping them reach their goals and creating a team. And when they can see that they have coaches, and if you're brand new, you have coaches above you, they can see that this is something I can do too. And, just really, I guess, be the solution to their problem. Not the generic problem, their problem.
That right there is golden, because you're absolutely right. What's their problem? Not the world. We can't solve the world's problems. We can't solve, Canada's problems or the US problems or the economy's problems. All we can do is work with them. They may need to just make an extra, hey, I need to make $500 a month because I got to pay my car payment that I was paying for my second job, but I lost my second job because the restaurant I worked in part-time is closed because of shutdowns or whatever the circumstances. Absolutely. Meet them where they are is what you're saying, which is exactly perfect advice. Perfect advice.
Yeah. Like it's funny, I've seen people where somebody in that example wants to make $500, but they're talking to them about making $10,000 a month. That person doesn't see that. And maybe they will next year, maybe they will next month, but right now they need to make $500 a month to put food on the table.
Exactly.
And, you can show them how to do that. In most companies, you can show them how to do that without recruiting even, if they've got a good customer program.
Well, growth is incremental. And sometimes you talk to somebody about making a lot of money and you turn them off or you intimidate them.
Yeah.
Or they think, hey, or a reasonably intelligent person knows, hey, to make a lot of money, I got to spend a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time. I got 4 hours Monday to Friday, and I got 8 hours on the weekend. What can I do with that? And we talked to them about pie in the sky instead of just talking to them about what, to your point. And you said it so beautifully. You're kind of fitting in the round peg in the round hole and saying, how do I help you?
Yeah.
60-year-old guy or 25-year-old guy. How do I help you?
Yeah.
We'll figure out the other stuff as we go.
And sometimes even what I like to call, I don't know if it's mirroring, but putting them, even introducing them to somebody, like if they're wanting to make money, say in my company, for instance, if there was that former teacher and they're a teacher, I would introduce them. I may not be the one that they're relating to my story as a single mom and school bus driver, and they might want, or it might be that doctor that needs to speak to that doctor or the lawyer that's had some success. And I just think sometimes introducing people that have had success that are the same as them is very, very helpful. And every company has every walk of life in network. That's the beautiful thing about network marketing. It's for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, great point. Well, Lori, this has been a privilege, and I got to do my little ad here. So, Lori, you're actually in one of the books I wrote here.
I know.
You're in. Do me a favor to hold it up, because once again, this backdrop kills everything I hold up. I'm sorry, people. Moving up 2020. Lori's actually one of the featured in there. I got it. Hopefully they can see it. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was first edition, second edition, and then third edition, Moving Up 2020, and available, of course, on Amazon, English and Spanish and digital. And of course, our new book, which we've talked about today, Leave Nothing to Chance, and same thing, Amazon, and available in both. So, Lori, here we are in 2022. And amazing that we're here. I was saying to somebody the other day, I said, remember when the clocks were going to change at 2000 and we were all scared to death what was going to happen? And now it's 2022, right? And anyway, so just your last words of advice as we close here for people, whether they're new in the industry, whether a lot of our listeners are long-term industry people, and they're all trying to improve. How can they improve the best in 2022? How can they have the best year ever?
Tell yourself you're going to have the best year ever, and believe it and feel it. You know, it's like I said, we've all got all the tools. We've all got all the training. I do believe in personal development. And that's why, first of all, I'm very humbled to be on here, by the way, John, from somebody like yourself to have me on here. It was like, I was very humbled. So thank you. So personal development is key. Always be learning, always be learning, always be learning. And I think you taught me that before, whether it's the books, the podcast, and just keep invest, the biggest thing you can invest in is yourself. Not everybody can go and do a $10,000 course, but everybody can do a podcast. Everybody can buy a book. Everybody can do that. And make the decision that 2022, I have that quantum leaps in 2022. Make the decision. Again, this sounds airy-fairy, but I mean, get your affirmations out. What is it? I am worthy. I am abundant. I am prosperity. Get those affirmations and write down what you want. Just like in Think and Grow Rich, be clear. Be clear about what you want. Why do you want it? How is it going to impact your life? How is it going to change those people around you? How many people are you going to serve in the meantime doing this? And make the decision that this is it. Because honestly, I said it, everybody said it, there is no better time in network marketing than now. People are flooding to this industry for obvious reasons, and COVID has taught people one thing. Many things, but it's taught them if they've been at a place in their life that they don't want to be anymore, they're not going back. They're looking at people like us now. And that's really exciting. That's really exciting.
Well, Lori, this has been a privilege. And once again, continued success. Proud of you. You've from the years when we met, when you were just raising your kids when they were little, and now their kids are probably older than they were when I met you, and you were still driving a bus, I think, part-time, and where you are today, and proud of you. But more than that, you're helping a lot of people, and that's the real message of everything we do in this industry, is to pass it on to that next person and that next leader and that next generation. So thank you again for being you.
Honestly, thank you very much, and love the title of your book.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Solider, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.